Hey guys, so I've had my 2019 VW e-Golf for about 5 months now. So I wanted to go through a list of positives and negatives that I've experienced over that 5 months. So number one, responsiveness of the screen. And Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This screen, and there are touch screens in a lot of different cars that I've experienced. This one is by far the best. It's very responsive. It's a good size screen. It's like the perfect size screen. Any swiping and everything that you do, it's just like using an Apple device. It's immediate. It's fantastic. And with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, there's the pinch to zoom, and you can toggle the map, kind of at an angle with 2 fingers and everything. So it's just like your Apple device. Heated seats. So the heated seats, the great thing about them, and I live in California, so there's not very much cold weather that I deal with, but when I do, and I use the heated seats, not only do they heat up quite a bit, they're immediate. You click the button, and like 15, 20, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds or something, maybe I'm exaggerating, and they feel great. Gas savings. So I was spending $350 a month on gas on my Volkswagen GTI 2017. I'm spending $80 more a month on electricity. With that $80 and the $350 I was spending before, I'm netting around $270 a month in gas savings. So driving on city streets, and the reason I call out city streets specifically is this car has pretty good acceleration. Now from my GTI coming to this, I would say the GTI is faster and it's more fun to drive. But regardless, it's a fun car to drive on the city streets, because you get to experience that acceleration and the braking and, the handling. The steering is really good. You can turn this car around just like any VW on a dime. The braking, again, is very strong and really quick. You don't have to use it as much because of the regenerative braking, which is great, but driving this car in city streets all in all is pretty good experience. So the rear view camera, clarity and placement. So if you have any car with a rear view camera, and the camera is just sticking, out on the back end somewhere, when it's raining, it, kind of, the screen kind of gets messed up because obviously there's raindrops and rain, going down the actual camera lens. In this car, your VW sign pops out and the camera is underneath that, so you never really experience that. Whenever it rains, it's still just as good as it is anyway. And I'll put up on the screen as well, you'll see how clear the rear view camera is. And because of the size of the screen as well, it's just a really, really good camera. All right, so I'm gonna go through the negatives. All right, so number one, range. 3 things to consider here. First off, actually, before I even talk about those 3 things, I knew the car had 125 miles of range when I purchased it. So if you're gonna put any comments about that, you don't need to. I know that I knew that when I bought it. 125 miles of range, number one. Number 2, I have a 70-mile round-trip commute to work every day. And number 3, at 30 miles of remaining range, you're forced into eco mode by the car, which is extremely annoying. It's really, really slow. You're not getting the full capability of the car at that point. So having considered that, right, in my mind, you have 95 miles of full-on use of the full capability of the car, right? May not be as much of a problem to you if you have a fast charger, or if you don't go many places in a day. But by the time I come home on Friday, I basically have to plug it in. I cannot use it Friday night. I can't go anywhere really unless it's very close. So I find that kind of frustrating. My wife finds it even more frustrating because then I have to take her car if I'm gonna go further to go somewhere. So anyway, consider that. Also, when you have events, I had a big family event recently, I couldn't use this car the entire time. Why? I didn't want to go and try to find chargers all over the place, right? And when you find a charger, it's not like it's going to be right next to your house conveniently, or right next to wherever you're going conveniently. You're going to have to go find it somewhere, stick it there, plug it in, get somebody to pick you up, or get an Uber, or walk back, or whatever. Regardless, it's not always going to be where you want it to be. And it's not always going to be available. And it's not that cheap to charge your car when you're in a bind and you need to do an accelerated charge at one of these stage 3 places or superchargers or whatever. It's not that cheap. So anyway, if you need to use it more than just to go to work and back, it's not the best car. In my honest opinion, if I were to go back, even considering all the savings and everything with this car, I feel like I might have gone for the Honda Clarity, because the car is still usable on a day-to-day, and if you have to or unable to charge or something, you can still use the car. So something I knew before, but I find annoying in my experience. But again, the car still saves me tons of money and gas and everything, so all in all, not bad. All right, 85 miles an hour top speed. I know a lot of you guys are going to say, well, it doesn't matter, I don't ever go that fast and everything, and for you, that's perfectly fine, so it won't be an issue for you. For me, I do at times want to go faster, and it is very annoying to me that I cannot go over 85 miles an hour. Be aware of the fact that you can only go 85 miles an hour before you purchase the car, and if you're okay with that, again, it's not a big deal. So the next thing is this windshield, and I'll try to show this in the video. It may not come out as clearly for you, but when you go look at the car, if you're going to test drive it, you can pay close attention to the windshield. Again, probably not an issue for 99% of people. I live in a community where you put a little barcode on your windshield, and the gate reads that, and then the gate automatically opens and everything. Because of these lines, my barcode will never get read, and it's very annoying to me, and it ends up working out fine, not that big a deal. Be aware of that, that there are these things on the screen, so if any kind of barcode or anything needs to be read for you, and you put it on the windshield, likely it won't be able to be read. Alright, so the last thing is the charger. Once you put the car on charge, and you lock the car and you walk away, and let's say you forgot something in the car, you come back, you unlock the car, you grab what you need, you lock the car again, it's not going to start charging again. You have to actually, every time you unlock the car, it stops charging, and you have to physically remove the charger, put the charger back in, and then lock the car again every time you unlock the car for it to actually start charging again. The last thing is the car turns off when you step out of it. If you leave the key in, you have the car on and everything, let's say it's a cold day, you gotta pop out real quick to the ATM and you wanna keep the car and you want the car to stay warm, you know, or your family's sitting in the car and you gotta run inside the store and get something. If there is not a driver sitting in the driver's seat, when you step outside the car, it doesn't matter how many people are still in the car will turn off. You can leave the key, whatever, it'll turn off. It's very, well, it's annoying to me. When I run into those situations, I don't run into them that often, but you know, if I choose to leave the car on, especially if there's other people sitting in the car, run into the store or something, I mean, it'd be nice if the car could stay on. Okay, final 2 items, and these 2 items are not things that I dislike about the car. They are things that I've run into recently that I don't think are correct. I'm going to be taking it to the dealer to get this stuff checked out. Number 1, the regenerative braking. When you put it on full regenerative braking, which I do all the time, and I use it in commuting, and I love it because I basically don't have to brake the entire time in stop and go traffic. My car no longer, like, it has to be driven for a really long time. Like, I'm talking like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 miles for it to start going to the full regen again. You can put it on full regenerative braking, and when you're driving, you could be going as fast as you want. You slam the brake, generally it's going to go to full charge. That's been my experience for the last 5 months. The last week, it's not happening at all. The other thing that I'm experiencing is when I used to take unlock my car and pop the charger out, it would immediately come out. It would just unlock and it would release the charger and you'd pull it out. Now, I unlock the car and I have to wait several seconds for the charger to actually be released. Not that big a deal, a few seconds again, but a little bit weird. Now I'm going to have the dealer check that out as well because I don't think that should be happening. Alright guys, so that is it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below and I'll try to answer as many of them as I can. Thanks.